Today's podcast is sponsored by Big Kill, a design studio that specialises in different type of work, including photography, design, and cool creative media. 3, 2, 1, back, episode 3 with Kicking It with me, Liam Harrison, and across from me today, one of my very good friends. He's a Defence Lab enthusiast and he's a MMA UK legend, Danny Mitchell. Massive thanks for coming on, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, no worries. I'm good, mate. Good.
I wanted to ask you before we go back and start talking about your career, because you've had a fucking ridiculous career at over 100 fights, fighting in every discipline and that. But I wanted to ask you, because in this lockdown, I've seen you've been doing some crazy shit in this. You've done a 100-hour fast.
Yeah.
You've been doing like stuff with Rico, like the Iron Man and all that, with no training whatsoever. You did stuff like that. I just want to ask you firstly about, one, was that just to keep your mind occupied while the gym's being shut? And I want to ask you about that fast, because how hard was 100 hours? Because the most I've done is 48 and that fucking kills me. That kills me. So for an extra 52 hours on it, what was that like mentally and physically?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's we're in a time where there's not a lot, especially at the start of lockdown, you know, everything's shut down, nobody were training, and I'm like, I need to do something. And I thought, I'm just eating shit, getting fatter every day.
I was bad. Yeah. I was bad, mate. I just hated myself. I could see myself getting fatter by the day in the mirror as well, going, what are you doing? Stop it.
There's nothing else to do, is it? It's
Nah.
just enjoyable to eat. So, yeah, I'm getting a bit fat, and I thought, let's do a fast. Now, I did 3 days before, so I thought, right, let's try and top that. So let's do 4 days. And I thought I might as well just round it up to 100 hours. Fuck it. And then, I literally thought about doing it. And then I'm trying to work out when I could do it. Like, when would it fit into my week? When could I, because you can't really train.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do stuff.
I tried it on the second day of a 48 when I just had no power whatsoever. It was like pointless going to the gym.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm trying to figure it out. And then the next morning I woke up and I just thought, fuck it, it's now.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
And I just did it. And it was tough. It was tough when it got to like the middle, right in the middle, because you know the end's a few days away. You're like, fuck's sake, like, I can't, am I going to be able to make it? And then I managed to soldier through. It was tough. I bet my missus were fuming with me because I'm just like laid around. I just can't be asked to do anything. And then when it got to the last 24 hours, I just felt amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a mental thing because I knew that the end was inside.
Well, Louis was telling me before about some jiu-jitsu guy. I don't know if he was just fucking blagging my head or what, but he said, he did about 15 days and he was going doing jiu-jitsu seminars, I think he said he was doing.
Yeah, that was Ben Eddy.
Yeah, how many days was that he did?
Well, I think he did 10. He did 10 days straight, and he said that he got to like the 7th day and he felt amazing. He had like all this energy, so he went and he grappled, and then like for the last 3 days, and he felt terrible.
Right.
He felt really bad, and then he had to break his fast because he felt like he was literally like going to die.
I'm not fucking surprised. How much weight did you lose?
How many pounds did I lose? I can't remember now. About half a stone, like 7 pounds, something like that. But yeah, it's good just to test yourself. It's more of a mental thing, really.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I've put all that back on now. People are messaging me like, I'm going to do that and lose weight, and it's like, it's not really.
Yeah, not a quick
It's
fix.
not like, yeah. If
you're looking to lose weight, you're better off just dieting slowly and steadily.
That's it. Yeah. It was more just a test. I just wanted to test my mental strength, see if I could pull it off.
Well, they say it does kickstart all your metabolism and your immune system and all stuff like that. It makes well with a bit of everything, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, cleanses your body. Yeah. So, and for me, it makes me think. Like them few days after a fast, I'm really conscious of what I'm eating. So whatever I'm eating, like.
Yeah, you can't really break a long fast like that with a load of shit or anything, can you? Go? Otherwise, your insides are in big trouble.
I know. I'm just thinking about really nice, good quality food, and then after a few days, then it just goes back to anything. But I think it's good. I think everyone should try it. I've seen a few different like protocols what people use. There was one guy who was saying you should do like a 3-day fast every month, a 1-day fast every week, and then every year you should do a 7-day full week. So you should, structure your life and have it as part of your everyday life.
So you did the fast, I saw that, and then I've seen just out of nowhere, you woke up one day and did some mad. What were you doing? Because you seen Rico with.
Yeah, so Rico were going to do an half Ironman.
Yeah.
And then I'd not been training at all, and I knew that doing an half Ironman I'd probably die. So I thought I'll do a triathlon. Which
triathlon.
Yeah. So I just did a regular triathlon. Rico did double what I did in that day. But yeah, it was tough. I just got up and did it, and it was tough. Again,
it's all mind over matter and all stuff like that.
It is.
Really.
You know what? Back in the day, I didn't used to think too much about it because I used to like fighting from a young age, same as you. I think after a while, I just didn't care anymore. So I'd be like, yeah, it's a fight. You know, I wasn't getting nervous. I wasn't like really worried about fighting.
That's one of the worst things that can happen when that happens as well. It's happened to me a few times where I wasn't bothered at all.
Yeah.
And I got fucking knacked.
Mate, it was like that for like fucking 99% of my career, to be fair. Literally just, I'm in corner just talking and that, and I'm almost too relaxed. And I think that, I always thought, my mental strength is really good because of that.
Yeah.
But then, now doing these little challenges, I think, it really is important that you've got that, and it's good for fighters, to be able to do that.
And that has now led on to you signed up for a full Ironman now as well for next year.
So we had this little competition going, and Josh Gudgeon as well, he got involved. We're doing these runs and bike rides and that, and it's like, let's do an Ironman, like the ultimate triathlon, basically.
So the Ironman is swim 3 mile, then bike for 100 mile or something, then run a marathon.
Mile, then run a marathon, yeah.
The worst thing about that is I can't swim for a start. That's the worst thing about it. I can't swim. But getting off a bike after 100 miles and I'm thinking, fuck me, I've got to run a marathon
That's the
now.
bit for me that's in my head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, right, swimming, I'm not good at swimming. Rico's like a fucking seal.
Yeah. Mate, he's some athlete.
Yeah.
He's like fit.
Mad.
Yeah.
And then, but it's like, I can swim, so I'll get through that. And then I know when I got on the bike, it's like, all I've got to do, it's like a fucking 6-7 hour fucking bike for me, So I've just got to get to that pace and just keep it going. And, I know I can do that in my head, but then it's that moment when you get off that bike
and think, oh no.
And you've got to run that marathon. I think for me, that's going to be the toughest bit. But it's mad. Rico's a beast, doing all this training. We've had him doing his VO2 test. I've got mine on Wednesday.
I've seen him doing all stuff like that. You've got yours on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
Yeah.
But anyway, right, enough of that. I want to pull it right back to your fight career because it's been fucking incredible. Fighting under every discipline, Muay Thai, MMA, K1. I just found out stick fighting. We'll come on that in a bit because even I didn't know that. But how did you get involved in it all? Where did it all start for you? Was it MMA you first started in, or kickboxing or something else?
So MMA didn't even exist when I started. It would, or it probably did exist. I'm trying to think back when I first started, like sometime in the 90s. So MMA was in America with the original UFC.
Yeah, but the bare knuckle and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've not even seen that. I remember being a young kid, 6-7 years old, and I wanted to do boxing. There's a picture of me somewhere in a nappy with boxing gloves on. Like, I wanted to do boxing, but my mum and dad just weren't interested. Like, no, you don't do boxing, let's figure something else out to do. And I used to be into watching wrestling like all kids do, watching pro wrestling. And so we used to just wrestle all the time. We'd get in guard and we'd fucking wrestle. Like, older kids would come and beat us up and that. And then one of the lads, his dad did taekwondo. We had a taekwondo school. And my mate, he was like a fucking blue belt in taekwondo. So I'd be like, oh, show me some fucking kicks and that. So he'd show me some kicks. And then we'd wrestle and then we'd kick each other. We're basically doing MMA.
Smacking each other.
Yeah, we're basically doing MMA, but with wrestling moves and taekwondo kicks.
Yeah.
So we're just like beating each other up. And, it used to get rough. Sometimes people get bust noses and go home to their mum and dad crying. So one day he did this thing and it would... We all thought, he's just being really nice, but basically we're a marketing ploy. He came over to all our mums and dads and says, listen, the lads are all a bit rough. They're doing all these play fights. Why don't you bring them to my gym for a month, give them a little trial and see if they want to sign up? So
smart move.
Yeah, smart move. So, I'm like 10 years old now. My mum and dad didn't want me to do boxing, but they see martial arts different. It's respect. Yeah. Everyone's bowing, So I went and I did 30 days of taekwondo and I never looked back. I was there every day. I was like, this is fucking mint. I just want to learn punches and kicks. From that moment, my mum and dad are buying me like every martial arts book you can get. I've got like fucking books on like Wing Chun, wooden dummies and stuff, watching Bruce Lee, watching every martial arts film, like the most terrible martial arts films you've ever seen.
Made up some belters back in 70s,
yeah,
80s.
yeah, really good ones. I'm still a big fan of the old school, like Shaw Brothers kung fu films. You know, like the real bad,
the real old ones.
Yeah. It's always the same storyline. There's one guy with a style of kung fu that no one can beat, and then there's some guy who like lives in mountains who knows how to beat him. And you've got to go train with him, you know, and avenge your fucking family.
Well, I don't remember like Best at Best and stuff like that. They were ones that I stuck in my head thinking, yes, this is fucking cool. I want to have a go at something like that.
You hate the kickboxer film, right?
I hate it just for the sheer fact it's so unreal. Like, when does a kickboxer just walk in the middle of Thailand and just start knacking Thais? Do you know what I mean? Especially like Tong Po, the Thai, like the greatest of all time.
Yeah, but Tong Po's like a real Thai boxer, isn't he?
He's from Belgium. He's not even Thai. That's what's going on about that film. But don't get me into that anyway, because I'll be here all day. But yeah, you know what? Probably the first time I saw it, I think, it's fucking pretty good, this. And then when I'd actually been in a Thai gym, and then when I'd actually been to Thailand and realised how good Thais were, and I watched that fight, the kickboxer again, I thought, I don't remember it being this shit and this ridiculous, you know what I mean? But I can't cope with it.
Yeah, but I got fully into all them. I was loving them kind of films and that, and I just love training. I wanted to do. I was doing taekwondo because that was the gym in my village. But I wanted to do everything. You know, any martial art. I was like, you know, obviously. We didn't have like fucking internet using, you know, looking for martial arts clubs like you have now. I'd just find like a poster in village, you know, in Village Hall. There's a kung fu class. I'm like, fucking Dad, take me to kung fu, you know. So I just had this passion for learning, and I wanted to compete. I started competing in like kickboxing when I was 12 years old. I remember turning up and I had like 3 fights in one day. I thought I got battered, but they raised me up. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. You know, I'm winning. And then I just started competing all the time. You know, I just wanted to.
And were you still just doing taekwondo and kickboxing?
So I was doing taekwondo, kickboxing. Then I actually started going to boxing, right? Because that's what I originally wanted to do. And I just wanted to compete and learn and get better. So then I was in a gym in Donny, in this backstreet gym. Proper like fucking rough ass gym.
Old school gym.
Yeah, they had like a little steroid room at corner. It was really
12-year-old, didn't that?
Yeah, they were saying they used to make me clean out needles. Like, go get that needle bin for us. But yeah, it's moved now and it's a nice gym. There's no steroids in there. But so I'm in there. I'm in a bag and there's these two guys. They're on floor. They're like grappling with each other and that. And I'm like, fucking hell, what's this? What these are doing? And so I'm like, oh, you know, will you show me something? They're like, yeah, come back next week and we'll do a bit of grappling with you. So I went.
And you'd never seen this before at that point.
I'd seen bits of grappling, so I've been training. You know, I did all kinds of different martial arts, and there was, you know, you learn some throws and some bits of groundwork and stuff. But these guys were just on floor, just grappling, and they had gis on with white belts or whatever. And I'm like, fucking hell, this looks pretty good. And then they just battered me. I remember one guy just held me down for like 5 minutes. I was just a kid trying to escape. And then they were like, oh, that was good, that, wasn't it? You couldn't get out. And I'm just like, bastard. So I did like a little bit of training with them. They ended up being Ben Poppleton and Neil Owen, who were both like top black belts under the Gracies now. Right. So yeah, which is crazy. Like they were literally rugby players who were white belts then. So I started doing little bits of grappling, and then around the same time, I'd been at a car boot sale and I found this UFC video. So I was like looking at back of it and it's saying there's no rules, there's no rounds, and I'm like, fucking hell, is this fucking illegal? Is this illegal? Like, is this video illegal?
What's the wrestler called who won it and stuff for it? Mark Kerr. Or not Mark Kerr. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, there were. So back in the day, they were like Mark Kerr, Mark Coleman.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this is like even before that. This is like So the original one I bought was UFC 3. So Hoyce Gracie was in it. Hoyce Gracie.
Wasn't he tiny compared to all others in that?
Yeah, he were about like 11 stone, something like that. So he won UFC 1 and 2, but it just so happened on this car boot sale was UFC 3, this video, which weirdly enough, he didn't actually win. A ninja guy won it.
Ninja?
Yeah. So Hoyce got injured. He fought a guy called Chemo who carried a massive crucifix to octagon with him. So Hoyce won the fight, got injured, and then, so the final, they had like a spare guy in back. And he was
Here's one we prepared earlier.
he was a ninja. It was like a police officer called Steve Jenham, and he was a ninja, and he went in and he hit the guy with like a tiger claw or something and won. So the one I actually watched, I picked a bad one to watch.
Was the most ridiculous one of all.
So at that point I thought ninjutsu is the best style. And I started training to be a ninja. But I watched it and I was like, fuck, this is fucking great. Like, how is this even happening?
Yeah.
This is in America, obviously. I think it were in Oklahoma or something, they had it. And I'm like, shit. So then I went out and I found UFC 1 and 2. Obviously saw Hoist Gracie win with just jiu-jitsu. And then at that moment, I'm like, probably 14 years old. And I just thought, fucking hell, jiu-jitsu, this is the one. This is like, this beats everything.
Yeah.
So then, I've been doing taekwondo. I've been doing like, point karate tournaments. I've been doing kickboxing fights. I've been doing all this. And then it's one moment I'm like, fuck all that. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu. So I just started learning that. And then a few years later, I started to see the benefit of doing striking as well. And putting it together. And I started having a few fights. But
when were you your first like adult fight then? That were you still fighting as a junior, then went into adult like
yeah, so I had like a couple of years where I didn't have any competitions or anything like that, and then my first fight as an adult it was like a K1 rules fight, and it was just a fucking mess. Like I fought this guy, I got so hyped up because I'm like I'm 18 or 19 years old. I'm like, this is it now. I'm an adult. I'm fighting with men. So I'm getting proper worked up backstage, like, fucking come on, this is it. Because all my most junior fights were just won on points.
Yeah,
there were no KOs.
Not many stoppages going on.
Yeah. And, if someone, if I hit someone with a decent punch, they'd just stop it. But the guy wouldn't, I didn't knock anyone clean out or whatever as a kid. But now I'm an adult and I'm like,
this is it now.
This is it. There's going to be KOs, yeah. And I remember fighting this kid, and it was just a mess. It was like I was blind. It was literally like the adrenaline took over, and it was just white noise, and I'm just throwing. I watched the fight.
This was in Donny, this fight then?
This was in Donny. It was just like this working men's club. And it was just, people were still smoking.
I remember that. It was scandalous. I've looked back at one of my old fight videos, and like my third ever fight, I didn't throw a kick in 3 rounds. I just swang all over. And you can only see like top of my head and that just coming out with smoke every now and then. It was scandalous.
It's horrible, isn't it?
But I mentioned it in one other podcast. They did have strippers on in between fights, so that made it better. And I was only 15, so I was buzzing.
Oh no way!
So did you win that then?
Yeah. So I won in the 3rd round. I just hit the kid with a low kick, and he went to block it, and I went underneath, and I kicked his back leg, and it like messed his knee up, and it was done. Like I knocked him out basically with a leg kick. There's a little clip of it somewhere on YouTube, but I can't actually remember the fight. All I remember is I were in the changing room, and I looked down. I had this trophy, and I said to my mate, "Fucking hell, is it over?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Did I win?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, fucking hell. It felt like I'd been knocked out because I was like confused. I'm thinking, what the fuck happened? And I watched it back. It was terrible. How I did not lose that fight. Honestly, it was terrible. And after that, I sort of I met Paul Murphy. He was promoting some MMA shows at Donny Dome, and I started doing a bit of training with him. And he's like, "Yeah, let's get you fighting MMA." And then I just started fighting MMA then. And
where did the stick fighting come in? We had to bring these up.
Yeah. So when I was younger, like I say, I just loved martial arts. I did all different kinds of martial arts, and one of the things I did like eskrima, which is like Filipino stick fighting. Yeah, so you're learning all sticks and knives and stuff. And we went to this tournament one day. So you've got like a fencing helmet on, and you're just basically battering each other with sticks, but there's loads of mad stuff you can do because you can smash each other in your hands. You've got like ice hockey gloves on, but there's like a part around your thumb like this.
It's open.
It's open, so you can just smash the thumbs. You can smash them in legs, and so I did that. That was pretty funny. Just one of them random things.
Yeah.
And then one of my mates, Jason Ball, who's had he boxed Eubank Jr. As a pro boxer. And he had a lot of MMA fights as well. He actually fought, and he did. And there's a video of this where he did like a no rules fight with a stick.
Fucking hell!
So it's like
protection on still.
Yeah, so he had a fencing head guard on, but it's like stick fighting. So You could take them down. You could choke them with the stick. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
That is serious.
You could name it like in the video. It's on YouTube somewhere. I'll try and find it and share it. But the guy shoots a takedown. Jason sprawls on him and he's just kneeing him at top of head on the floor and that. I'm like, fucking hell. But yeah, that was just in some mad fucking leisure centre somewhere. But these things used to go off. You know, different styles. I remember having an MMA fight. You know. Driving for miles somewhere and then having an MMA fight in a leisure centre. There were like 10 people watching it just on some mats, and I just like armbarred this guy in 30 seconds and then just went home. I didn't sell any tickets, I didn't get paid, there was nothing. It was just
doing it just for the love of fighting.
It was just mad. Like back in the day, it was just random. You know, you'd end up with random rules.
I can imagine that hardly anyone would have even known what it was at all back then. When we're talking here 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. It's crazy, really. So, but it's evolved so much now. I mean, now you can fight on a legit show every week.
Yeah.
You know, proper rules is. You know, it's a lot more better organised now. But when I was learning, I mean, I didn't actually have a proper coach. I always joke about it, saying like I got this far. I got to the UFC with basically my mates in my corner.
That is mental.
Yeah,
it's similar to what we were talking about with Richard on my podcast, because he did the exact same as you. Never had a proper base, never had a real coach, and he got to a good level just by, like you just said then, a bit of sparring with his mates, hitting bargains. Yeah. But that's it. That is insane, really, because you went on a really good winning streak at first, didn't you? You won your first 8 in a row or something.
Yeah. I won 8 in a row.
When were it you thought that, right, fucking hell, you know what? I'm doing all right here. I'm going to fucking get known and get myself noticed and go places with this. When was that?
Yeah, I mean, when I'd won them first 8 fights, people were talking about me, but at the time, I didn't really care. Like, you know, I remember there were a post about Gunnar Nelson. Now, Gunnar Nelson's in the UFC, he's an awesome fighter, and someone posted up, like, I think it was John Kavanagh, who were training him, and he's like, oh, nobody wants to fight Gunnar. And I'm like, I'll fucking do it. I don't give a fuck. Like, I didn't care about... I were 8-0, but I didn't really care about records or anything like that. I'm just like, I'll fight him.
Just wanted to fight.
Yeah, and I fought him, and, he beat me. He took me down and choked me. And he's a fucking beast, He's one of the... Like, out of all my fights, when I think back of the losses I've had, I reckon I could have avenged them all. But Gunnar's the one I think, he's too good.
Yeah, really.
Like, he's that good. And, I honestly thought at the time, I thought for a few years that he would be the next welterweight champion for the UFC. But he's
How old were you when you fought him then?
Early 20s. Early 20s. Yeah, early 20s. I'd literally had my boxing coach in my corner.
Fucking hell.
You know what I mean? I'm fighting one of the best grapplers in the world.
You got boxing coach.
I've got my boxing coach in the corner. Just fucking, I thought I'll just try and ping him with some punches. Yeah. But again, I had a boxing coach, I had a jiu-jitsu coach, I had different people helping me, but I managed myself, I decided, right, what training am I going to do today? Right, I'll do a bit of boxing today, and I just did my own thing.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, Richard did the same. Look how that's helped him become the coach he is. And I think the same for me. I think
100%.
I think I'm a better coach now because I went through that. Whereas if I'd have just joined a team and they'd have said, right, this is what you got to do, I probably would have had more success, but I probably wouldn't be a coach.
There were a lot of trial and error going on there, what you've done, so you know what your fighters need to do. Yeah. Like you say, it's probably, you are the best MMA gym around these parts of the country, 100%, are you?
Yeah. So I've made them mistakes.
What promotion was that on? You fought Gunnar Nelson then? I
fought him on Cage Contender, which was like a big Irish promotion. So
was you over there? Were it?
Yeah. So it was in Manchester.
Oh, right, okay.
But the main events are usually in Ireland. But they've done some kind of deal, and I don't know why it were in Manchester. But they've done a deal with like Icelandic TV because Gunny's like a hero in Iceland.
Massive name.
So so they sold it to them, and it got streamed live in Iceland and stuff. And that's also the night. Where Ricky Hatton was ringside, and that's the night when he got caught out in an hotel room doing things he shouldn't be doing. Yeah. So I'm to blame for Ricky Hatton's downfall, basically.
I remember that. He got filmed, didn't he, on Sly?
Yeah.
That. So how many fights were it then? You'd gone 8-0 in your first 8 unbeaten.
Yeah.
Then when did they call you? When did they grab hold of you? Had you fought on any other massive promotions before that? Or?
So I'd started fighting on different promotions, and then the first sort of really big fight I had was in Sweden. They got in contact with me, and I fought on a show called Superior Challenge, which at the time was basically as big as the UFC. So I flew to Sweden and I fought a lad who were unbeaten, Nicholas Masoki. So he's actually, he was in the UFC as well. He actually got to the UFC before me. So I fought him in his hometown in Stockholm in the Globe Arena, which is a massive...
That's massive there.
Yeah, massive arena. That's where the UFC is now.
Right.
So I went there and it was literally, the card was basically UFC caliber fighters, like either ex-UFC fighters or fighters who should be in the UFC. We're all on the card. I'm fighting Nico. It's his hometown. And it was just amazing. The crowd was massive. I had Jay Furnace. I took him in my corner. So Jay was like my student, but I had him as my corner man.
Do you know what? When you say stuff like that, I can't even comprehend. Like when Richard just going, "Come on, Liam, you just come with me and just corner me for this fight." When I first started out, and it's crazy, really, that he was that successful by doing that.
Exactly. Like I'm training Jay. I'm helping him. He had a couple of pro fights. I'm helping him train, and then I'm like, Jay, come and corner me. So
well, I fight on biggest show in Europe.
Yeah. So and that's what it was. It was the biggest show in Europe, and it were a huge event, and. So I got that kind of UFC experience just being there, and I just didn't get paid UFC money, but I got the win. I beat him in the second round. He'd never been out of the first. All his wins were first round submissions as an amateur. First round KO or submission. I think he had a really good amateur record, and he was like 4 or 5-0 as a pro. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, if I can just get him to that second round, he looked like a big, strong kid. All Swedes are, aren't they? All Swedish, they're just shredded, aren't they? They must have a good diet over there. Diana ball for breakfast. But so I just thought, if I can just get him to the second round, get him in unknown
territory type of place.
Yeah. So I basically played the MMA rope-a-dope. I basically held him inside my guard and just tied him up for a round, and he was hitting me with massive punches, and I just tied him up. And then the second round, I thought, right, let's go to work. And I just took him down, got on his back, and I arm locked him. And the crowd went mental, which were crazy. Like literally, they were applauding like positional changes. I'd pass his guard, and everyone would clap.
Yeah,
and I'm
so they knew what they were looking at and stuff like that.
It's mad. It's the first time I'd ever experienced that. And then
better than a mat in middle of Doncaster, wherever you drove with 10 people.
Yeah. It was just a crazy experience. And I remember just on the flight, just going home. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, I just felt amazing. I was like, this is it. That's a massive fight. I've just took on a big fight in a international, massive show and won. And I thought, this is it. I've made it. To where I wanted to be at the time. I wanted to be in the UFC. That's every MMA fighter's goal. But it was like, this is it. This is my UFC. This huge show and that. And that were kind of the start.
Is that what? Did you get a call from that, or were there?
No, so that was like the start of sort of people looking at me.
Notice,
then I had a couple of fights here and there, and then they actually called me back last minute, and they were like, "Oh, I want you to come back to this show in Sweden." And they'd had a guy who just got cut from the UFC. They had him on the card, like co-main event, and they said, "Can you jump in?" So I'd actually been training for another fight, so I were half fit, and they only gave me a couple of weeks' notice, and I just said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I think they were expecting me to maybe come in not in shape, because we did it at a catch weight. It was like 80 kilos when usually I'm 77. So I thought maybe they're expecting me to be out of shape, but really I was ready to go.
Yeah.
So I went over there. I took Tom Crosby to corner me. so Tom Crosby this time had one amateur fight, I think, and he's my corner man. That's crazy, isn't it? So the fight that actually got me to the UFC, I just had my student with one amateur fight in my corner. So we went backstage, and they put me in the changing room with the main event. So the main event was a guy called Jens Pulver, Little Evil they used to call him, and he was lightweight UFC champion.
Yeah, I remember
back
him,
in the day. Yeah, he had like really good boxing. He used to knock people out. And he was, it was like this was going to be like his last fight, I think. And, he'd come to the end of his career. So he had his brother with him, Abel. And then he had some other guy with him who must have been his manager or whatever. So, we're getting ready to fight, And I said to Tom, I'm like, oh, do you know how to wrap hands? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. So then Jens Pulver's brother says, oh, I'll wrap your hands if you want. And I just said, nah, I'll just choke the guy. Fuck it. I'll just choke him. And then we all laughed about it. And then I went out there and strangled him, yeah. Yeah, so we went back and forth in the first round. He landed some big punches. Like I say, I was so relaxed. Like, I had no nerves, I'm out there, I'm so relaxed that I'm just getting pinged with shots because I'm not switched on. You know, I never had a coach to say, right, you need to get in the zone now, you know, slap me about a bit and get me switched on. I'm literally telling Tom, hold that pad there so I can do this punch. You know, and then, so yeah, I go out there, first round, I take a few shots or whatever, and then, second round, I'm just like, right, let's fucking turn it up now. It takes me around to get warmed up. I went out there, took him down, got on his back and strangled him. And again, the Swedish crowd loved it, and I was buzzing with that. Went backstage.
What were promoters like with you afterwards? Were they like,
yeah,
sound. They expect you to win? Well, they didn't expect that, did they?
Yeah,
but were they all right when you did win?
They were sound. They were really good. And my sort of goal was to stay on that show because it was an amazing show, and I wanted to fight for their title. And you know, there were a couple of guys in my weight division then, you know, would have been really good fights. So, and at this point, Nico, the original guy who I beat in Sweden, was in the UFC. And I'd been to the UFC in Sweden and actually saw him fight and win with an armbar, the same armbar I beat him with. And as he walked out of the cage, he walked past me and he's like, "You showed me that," which were crazy. That were at the UFC. Yeah. So he's already in the UFC at this point. So I get backstage, I'm buzzing. You know, I've got this last minute win, and Jens Pulver's ready to walk out to fight. And they're like, "Oh, did you win?" I'm like, "Yeah, I told you, I'm just going to choke him." And then the guy who was with him, it's like, "Oh, you know, can I get your contact details in case any fights like stateside or whatever? You know, I'll get you a fight." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sick." So I just give him my email, not realizing who he was. So that guy was actually Monty Cox, who is the manager for Robbie Lawler. For basically, so back in the day, the Militich camp was like Matt Hughes, Robbie Lawler, Jeremy Horn,
all
Tim
the biggest
Sylvia.
names of around that time.
Yeah, all them. He was the manager for all them guys. So a few days later, he sent me an email and he just said, "Oh, you know, I've got a management contract here. I can manage you. You know, you can do what you want in Europe, but I'll manage you in like Asia and the US, and I'll try and get you fights." And I'm like, "Yeah, sweet." So I signed the contract, sent it back, and then a few days later, I was asleep in the gym. There were really bad weather, and it was like snowing outside, and I were in the gym, and I just slept there to save me driving or whatever. And I remember waking up at middle at night, like 4:00. I checked my phone, I had some emails, so I just looked, and I just had a UFC contract.
Shit.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, just sign this, send it back. You're in UFC. Well done." I was like, "Fuck." So he'd pulled a few strings, and off the back of that, you know, impressive win, I managed to get to the UFC.
That's mental. And where were the shows that you fought on the UFC? Were they around Europe or were they?
Yeah, so I fought in London. It were a really bad time as well that this all happened because, so I get signed to the UFC, but my dad has got cancer and they're like, he's got a year to live. So the year I get signed to the UFC, they're like, "Your dad's got a year to live." So I'm like, fuck, you know, this is not good. But, you know, he managed to, you know, he saw me get signed to the UFC and he managed to get to my first fight, which was in London. So they sent me the opponent, Igor Araujo. So he's a Brazilian black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, fuck me. You know, my thing is like, you know, throw a few punches, people try and take me down, and then I'll do some crazy jiu-jitsu and you know, and beat them that way. And I'm like, this, in my head, I'm thinking, this is just going to cancel everything out. You know, it's not going to be good. So it were a back and forth fight, a close fight. I lost the decision, but I thought I'd done enough to, you know, Dana White seen me after. He's like, "Oh, you know, good fight, man," or whatever. There's like a crazy there's a crazy gif of the end of the fight where we're both trying to leg lock each other and it won't work. It just won't work. At one point, I could hear his knee cracking, and he's just not. He was just looking at me, shaking his head like, I'm not tapping to that. And I'm like, there's like a minute left. None of us could get up because our legs were just tangled together. So we just started like hammer fisting each other. It looked terrible, but we're just like trying to land any kind of weird punch. Kind of looked like Defence Lab.
Yeah.
Maybe if I trained there, I would have won that fight. But yeah, so there's this crazy gif that's like floating around the internet, and people always comment on it like, "Oh, why didn't he just leg lock him?" Like, that's just fucking bizarre. But if you watch the fight, you can see how it played out. And Dana White were like, "Oh, that were cool, that were good." So I thought, right, we're in the UFC, we're all right. They offered me my next fight, which was in Vegas, and I was like, "Wow, this is it."
The dream.
I'm in Vegas my second fight in UFC. I'm in Vegas, and just like a few weeks before, like my dad were really ill, so I couldn't leave. I'd started going to Thailand and doing bits of training there, which were really good for me. But then I couldn't really leave because my dad's so ill. So I basically just trained with my mates. So for my second UFC fight, I'm literally just training with my mates. And then my dad unfortunately passed away. He'd been given like a year to live, and after 4 or 5 months, and he died. So I had to cancel that fight, and I really didn't want to cancel the fight because I thought, it's going to cause problems. But I cancelled the fight. I said, give me a couple of months. Yeah. So a couple of months go past, and then they fire me another fight across, and I just think, I'm going to have to do it. I can't just keep putting it off. Yeah. And ideally, I should have really waited, but I took the fight and I just trained.
Where was this one? This one
was in Macau, which is basically the Vegas.
It's a cool place, Macau.
It's
a cool. I fought there. I fought Sanshai third time.
Yeah,
it's a really cool
just
place.
Just fought Sanshai. Yeah, we're all right.
Yeah, it was worse one out a lot. I got knocked that fight, so we won't talk about that. It's a really cool place. That.
Yeah, I took Berkey with me, which were really funny. Berkey and Kamatakoru. We had a good laugh. But yeah, I just didn't. Like, my training consists of like a bit of sparring with my mates, and then I hit pads with Berkey once a week and did a bit of wrestling with Kamatakoru once a week. That were basically my training for the UFC. And we went out there, and the game plan was just to take the guy down.
Oh, were you finding?
I fought a guy called Wang Sai. He was the runner-up on the Chinese Ultimate Fighter.
Right.
So he was like a wild striker, and he was training at AK in Thailand with Mike Swick. So, which was a place I actually wanted to go to train for the fight, until they offered me the fight and said that's where your opponent's from. But yeah, so I trained, and the plan was to take him down, and I think that I tried too hard too early to take him down, and it didn't quite work, and then it just kind of got messy, went to shit a little bit. Again, another close fight. I caught him with some big punches. I took him down right at the end of the fight. But yeah, I didn't train properly for it. My mind wasn't in the right place. And I lost a close decision. They even sacked, after that show, they sacked the judges because there were so many bad decisions. They got rid of a load of judges. And I was just hoping, I'm like, please. My manager got in contact and he said, listen, I won't worry about it. You've had 2 good performances,
2 close fights. Yeah, not like you got splattered or anything.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, they could have gone either way. So, we should get another chance. But unfortunately, as ruthless as it is at that level, I got the email just saying sorry. They actually invited me to UFC in Sweden to watch it, so I went over there, free tickets to watch it, and then while I was there, they emailed me saying,
"Dirty bastards!" That's scandalous.
That's when I got the email, like, fuck. Yeah, so I got this email saying, unfortunately, with your contract's up. So yeah, I thought, well, that's it, and then I didn't really know what to do then, because.
Was ABT in full flow then as well? So you're not really training with anyone, and you're looking after your own fighters, and in the UFC. All
through this time, I'm coaching, I'm running classes, I'm basically training with my own students. I ain't got a coach telling me, right, Monday's strength and conditioning, Tuesday's boxing. I'm literally just doing what I want. So in hindsight, I should have joined a team. I should have got other people involved, but. I'm proud to say that I did it off my own back, and I got as far as I could off my own back. Really.
Still very impressive. You mentioned wanting to train in Thailand at AKA. Didn't you do the crazy fucking tryouts for Tiger Muay Thai? Didn't you win that?
I did the first ever one, which was 2012.
Because they're insane out of them, what the men do. Yeah. I've only seen the videos, and it's like all trainers just knacking you and making you run up mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah, so obviously, you've lived in Thailand for a long time and trained, but so it was Jay Furnace. He'd sent me this email saying, "Oh, if you apply to this, you can get a scholarship in Thailand." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it." So I applied. I got an email back off Brian Ebersol, who was in the UFC, and he's like, "Yeah, we'd love to have you. There's the dates. Just get a flight over." And yeah,
is it for 3 days you do it for?
It was 3 or 4 days. I can't remember. But yeah, they'd accepted me place or whatever on there. So I thought, right, let's do it. Let's get over there and see what we can do. So this was actually just before, I think a year before I got to the UFC. So a year before. So anyway, I flies out to Thailand. I get there a few days early because obviously it's hot. I want to acclimatise. So I get there, I have a wander down to the gym, and Brian Ebersol just happens to be in reception. This is when Tiger was like wooden huts, not like a fucking
it's massive
leisure
now,
centre like it is now. So like pretty old school. And Brian Ebersol's there, and he's like, oh yeah, why don't you get a little session in? It's like the best thing to do. You've just landed, get a little session in, then go to bed. And I'm like, yeah, sweet. And they have all different, they have like the beginners Thai. They have like so many classes at the same time. It's crazy.
Yeah,
they have
I've seen
people.
Hundreds and
so like a beginners, intermediate, advanced, and it's like the fighters, where all the Thais train. So I was like, oh yeah, just go to the fighters class. So I went to the fighters class, and they were like, me, a guy called Johnny Betts, who's an absolute
Johnny,
beast.
I know Johnny. Good clincher, Johnny.
He's basically a Thai, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like he is, he is a Thai. He speaks fluent Thai. He's like the Thais. You could see in the gym, they basically respect him like he is a Thai.
He's been there for years as well.
Yeah.
Like, he fought Malidi when Malidi were there.
Yeah. He's like I say, devastating clinch, and it just happened to be clinch day as well. So we get in there, we do all the pad rounds and everything, and then we're clinching. So Johnny, who's a lot smaller than me, just hanging off my neck, and my neck's killing. I've been sat on a plane for 14 hours. So Johnny's battering me, and then the Thai who they partnered me with was Lamsongkram.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so I had
the biggest Thai in Thailand. He's massive.
Yeah, so I had a rough first day.
I bet.
Yeah, so he just clinched
because
me.
he can clinch as well.
Yeah, like I say, for a Thai, what is he? He's like 68 kilos, 6'3".
Yeah, he's massive.
And he's it was like sticking my head under ropes and strangling me with ropes, just basically taking the piss out of me. I'm just this new guy who turned up, and so I just went back to my room. And I just laid there, ice on my neck, just fucked.
What have I done here?
Yeah, but this were a couple of days before the tryout started, and then they were like, right, tryouts, in a couple of days. Day one is Muay Thai. You're in Thailand. You got to get through this Muay Thai session first. And I'm like, right, sweet. So I know it's going to be tough. I know I've just experienced, like, they've just tried to batter me on that first day. And then a lot of people made the mistake of turning up that fucking day. So they all turn up, like, fresh off the plane into this Thai session, and they just battered us. They're like, every time they're telling you to throw a kick, and every time you throw a kick, they just move the pads and sweep you. Literally just punching you in the face with the pads, battering you, knocking you down, making you do a million push-ups after every round. Crazy. They battered
I've seen the videos about like just the little highlights when they're doing stuff like that, and like they'll be on the floor gasping for air, and I just walk over and fucking knee them and stuff like that while they're on the floor.
Yeah, there were people just dropping like flies.
I'm not surprised,
but because I'd had that first day, and I'd had like a rough first day, like getting clinched up on that, and then when they started doing the clinch, I was prepared for it. So I was doing all right in clinch, and then they just kept saying, oh, get so and so they just keep getting better people until my neck was fucked. But yeah, they battered us.
So how did it work then? Do you have to like give up for a so
that first day, some people just like, fuck this, and just went home. Just went home. I can't remember how many people I think there were supposed to be 50 who started, but a lot of them didn't even make the flight or whatever. So maybe like 30 or something started, and that slowly whittled down till there were about 15 of us. The next day we did wrestling, then we did like a jiu-jitsu day, then an MMA day, and then the last day they're like, oh, we're going to go to the beach and we're going to do like a mad beach workout, like sprints and stuff like that, swimming at sea. And they're like, oh yeah, bring your trainers, and bring some water and that. So we get to the beach. Obviously, you just take your trainers off and get on beach. So straight away in my head, I'm thinking, we need our trainers for something. Anyway, we get on beach. We're doing mad like sprints and stuff. And then I tell you what, the Meadows watch. Have you seen that video on YouTube where it's like a motivational speech, and he says, you got to want to succeed as much as you want to breathe.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard
seen
that?
it. Yeah.
So they made us watch that on this little minibus. And then we did all these runs and stuff. And then they took us into the sea and said, right, swim. So we had to just swim as far as we could. And there were guys who couldn't even swim properly, like really struggling, like people swallowing water. So we got pretty far out. And it was Brian Ebersol and Roger Huerta, who was an absolute beast. Again, another top UFC fighter. So we swam out, and I was the first guy that did it to, so I was unprepared for this. So they'd made us watch this thing about, succeed as much as you want to breathe. So Roger Huerta swims up to me, just grabs me head and shoves me underwater and just holds me.
I'd have had a panic attack if someone had done that to me.
So
I'm telling you.
So I'm like underwater like this, and he finally let me up. I was like, and he's like, "Oh, nice one, well done." And then he goes to the next guy, and they did it to everyone. I'm not sure, like, morally, if this, the right
He's
thing
illegal.
to do. Yeah, I'm not sure if they do that now, but they did that to everyone. And then, the medders we had to, like, wrestle in the sea and stuff like that. And then we swam back, and we're all goosed. We're done. At this point, we're just done. We've had, like, 4 really hard days of training. We're done. Then we get on this bus, and the bus is driving, and they actually said to us, you're done. That, well done, everyone. That's it. And then the guy next to me, I'm like, we're not done, And he's like, what do you mean? I said, they told us specifically to bring our trainers. Why would we need our trainers when we've just been on beach, swimming in sea? So we're driving, and then we start driving like a certain way, not back to the camp. And then there's that big Buddha mountain. And I'm like, we're running up that. I just knew in my head. And he's like, nah, they can't. Like, look at us. Like, literally people going to the hospital because we're badly dehydrated, whatever. And I'm like, they're gonna make us run it. So then I'm prepared.
The thing is, you're already mental.
Yeah.
You know now, though.
Yeah.
I can imagine other people who think it's over and they're like,
they're just relaxing.
Thank God for that. That's over. And then getting told to do it, trying to bring yourself back up mentally. It's too far, that. It's too far.
I know.
Well, at least you expected it.
Yeah, I was fully ready, so I tied my trainers tight and that, and I'm just sat there like, get ready for this. And then they just pull up at the bottom of the hill, and everyone looks at me like, you cunt, how did you know? They're like looking at me as if I had something.
So you were in on it.
Yeah, inside info. And then, they just got us all out, and they said, right, there's 5 scholarships, like however many people started, 50 people applied or whatever. And they're like, there's 5 scholarship places. The first one up there gets number 1. And then
how many were left at this point?
I'd say probably 15 to 20 of us.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And then they're like, the first one up there gets 1. Go. And then everyone just set off. But everyone set, like, the start of the hill, it's not that steep. So everyone set off really fast, and then it just gets steeper. Yeah. And then you're like, oh no. So everyone's dying. People at side of road. There was a really funny thing happened, because when you have you ever ran up it?
No, I've never ran up it. No, I've been up it on my moped before.
So, like, there's like elephant sanctuary in there, and like monkeys and stuff like that. So one of the guys, Colton, one of the American guys, so he were running up it, and he's like exhausted. He's like so fucked. Like, he was fucked on day 1. So
he struggled right to this point.
He's like really struggling. And I swear to God, a guy on like a bike with one of them little trailers on, one of them little sidecar trailers, it was full of monkeys, and the monkeys were laughing at him. The monkeys were all pointing at him, laughing. And I was like, this is crazy. But yeah, we ran it, and because I'd never ran it before, I didn't know when it ended.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just looking for this big statue of Buddha, and it's just so far away. And eventually, I managed to get up the hill.
Did you come first?
No, I didn't come first, unfortunately. So there was a guy called Matt Tapar. He was actually living in Thailand, and he used to just run it every week.
Yeah.
So he knew the terrain.
Yeah,
and
he knew when to go, when not. Yeah.
Yeah, and he made it to the top. So he got the first scholarship. But there were literally, I remember one guy, Caleb, he were on the floor, and his abs were just cramping so hard. You could see him twitching. And then one guy goes to the hospital, he's on a drip. Everyone's just fucked. It was so bad. And then, They still do this every year as well, don't they? But I'm guessing they don't do it. I love watching the videos, because I just remember what it was like, because they get more people now.
Yeah, there's hundreds of them do it now.
Yeah, more people, yeah. So, but it were good. It were fun. One of the best experiences of my life, and one of the hardest.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, they got us all together, and they said, these are the people we think. The first guy who was up the hill, and then there was me, Ben Wynn, Kai, Cara France, and Cody Stevens. So Ben Wynn and Kai are both in the UFC now, both flyweight and bantamweight, I think. Obviously, I made it to the UFC. Cody never made it to the UFC, but he had some big fights. He fought, I I think he fought on he fought on a big Asian promotion against like a top fighter, and then he actually suffered got an eye poke in a fight and went blind in his eye.
No way.
But he's doing really good. He's a really good guy. Like trains kids and stuff. Really inspirational guy. So he's smashing it. So
the only people who got the scholarships were all elite guys who went on to achieve
big things. Yeah. So it was really good to be part of that group and see where everyone is now.
Again, though, I think that comes back to your mental fortitude. If you're going from like your gym, just training with your mates a little bit, thrown into the fire there like that, and then still managing to win, still getting through it. Yeah. Again, that's down to, like we were saying it earlier, like all up there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It were crazy. But then, like I say, once the UFC call did come, and then my dad were really ill, I couldn't really leave the country. I couldn't say, I'm off to Thailand for 2 months, because what if my dad had died while I were away, So yeah, I had to sort of turn down the scholarship. I stayed there for a little while, and I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have to go back home and look after my family, and I didn't manage to use the scholarship like the other guys did. They lived there for pretty much a couple of years. So, but I managed to get back every year. I think I've been like 7 times now. Been back every year, and
Do you still go to the same gym, or do you?
Yeah, I go to Tiger. I've been to. I did a little stint at AKA as well, and been to a few different gyms, trained with a few different coaches and stuff like that. But yeah, I went there for my honeymoon. Did a couple of sessions. I just
call in, say hello.
Yeah, just say hello and show Jade Patong.
what a place, Bangalore, baby.
Yeah, she loved it. She loved it.
Right, I'm just going to pull it back a bit, because we mentioned your gym a lot now, but we hadn't talked about how you just decided. Where did it come from? The idea, think, right, I just want my own gym, and the name. Where did you get the name from?
Yeah, so
I've always been intrigued by that.
So coaching has basically been from the start. So when I said I started doing Taekwondo, after a couple of years, I got pretty good at Taekwondo. I'm winning tournaments and stuff like that. And then they said, do you want to teach little kids? I'm like, yeah. So I just started teaching kids. I wasn't getting paid. I was just getting used to teach classes. But yeah, I started teaching kids Taekwondo, and then I started teaching. They're like, you can teach the adult classes. And I just started coaching. Then when I sort of went away from that and I wanted to do, proper fighting, Thai boxing and boxing, then what I did is I just started using my dad's garage, and I'd get like my mates, and I'd hold pads for them, and I'd use them as sparring partners.
Smacking your mates.
I'd show them some stuff, and then we'd fight.
Beat them down.
I remember once I had a boxing tournament in my dad's garage. I literally bought medals. I had like medals, and I made them fight. Honestly,
that is brilliant.
Yeah. Fucking crazy when I think of that. I actually forgot about that till then. But yeah, so I was coaching all the time, and then I ended up with like getting a gym, like a big unit, and started doing some teaching there. Then that closed, and I ended up somewhere else, and I moved around. I've been in like a church hall, and then I had a unit, and then I ended up getting like a gym, like a weights gym, running like a weights gym, and then we had a back room where we used to teach, and same thing, we'd all just spar and stuff like that. So that were all happening, and then at this time, the brand Cage Steel had come around, and so this guy in Dewsbury, he'd made this clothing brand called Cage Steel, which was like a fight brand, and he'd also had a big unit, and he'd put a cage in it. Like no gyms had a cage at this point, so we had a cage, loads of mats, all top bags, everything, pads, and so it had been running, but the guy who was running it, he wanted to move on to other stuff. So this guy came to me, and he's like, listen, do you want to come and run this gym for me? It's in Dewsbury. And I thought, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. So I used to sleep in the gym in Dewsbury. I still lived in Donny, but I'd drive over there, I'd sleep in the gym a few nights, run it. That's where I started training Jay Furnish. Jay had already had quite a few amateur fights. And there were loads of other guys there who, maybe there were some guys who'd done a bit of boxing, and, we started to build like a bit of a team. And it got pretty good. It got to the stage where we had like a decent stable of fighters. I'd gone to Sweden at this point and had my first fight in Sweden. And then the guy who owned the brand and the gym just sort of like didn't really want to do MMA anymore. He's like, I'm not really interested. He's into like racing cars now. So there's actually a branch of Cage Steel now that just race cars, rally cars. Yeah, that's what he does. So the unit where that gym was is now just got loads of really expensive.
Have I been to that gym? MP Fitty where I came
on. So from Cage Steel, so that closed down, and then I had to find somewhere. So I could have gone back to Donny, but all my fighters at that point were then in like the Dewsbury, Leeds area. So I found a place, like a boxing gym on Bradford Road. We got some mats and stuff, and I just started teaching there. And then we had to come up with a name. So originally, when I had a gym in Donny, I called it the Asylum, because it was just like a padded room, and everybody trained were just nutters. One guy actually did go to the Asylum, which made it even better. So I hope you're all right, Nath. But so the original gym was called the Asylum, but by this point there were loads of gyms called the Asylum now. So I thought I can't really call it the Asylum and go back to that name, but I did like that name. So back in the old school like UFC days, there was a guy called Marco Huas. He was a Brazilian Thai boxer. He was like Brazilian national champion, and he did grappling as well. And his style was Vale Tudo, which is like basically means anything goes. Which I've got tattooed on my hand. So he called his style Huas Vale Tudo. And I thought, that's pretty good. So I just changed it to Asylum Vale Tudo. AVT were born. And then we just stuck with that name. And it's become a bit of a thing now, like 9 years in.
Having that few fighters there now, how many fighters have you got now? You've got like a ridiculous amount.
It's like 50. It hovers around 50. Obviously, people come and go. But it's hovering around 50 at the minute. So
did you ever see it going from like building it up as small as it was? Did you ever think that it would blow up like it has done?
Again, like I never meant for this to happen. I just wanted to train my mates so they were good enough that I could spar against them. That's basically it. I just wanted some decent sparring partners, and it just so happened that I ended up falling into this coaching role, and then I pretty much coached myself. And then that stopped me then, because I'm coaching all these people, it sort of stopped me from being able to go away and do my own thing. And but it's led me this far. Like I say, AVT's been going 9 years in sort of October time. Because
you've got some really, really promising like youngsters and stuff, like obviously Louis and lots of other young up and coming fighters and stuff as well now, aren't you?
Yeah.
You even got guys fighting kickboxing, K1 rules and boxing. Rico won the bare knuckle, the BKB world title. Yeah. So you've got like loads of different stuff going on with all you guys as well, aren't you, at the minute?
Yeah, it's really good, and like you say, with MMA, how mainstream it is now, the young kids who are coming in, they're beasts.
Yeah.
They're absolute beasts. Like Louis was like the first one of the crop, This young lad, he had all these Thai fights, he's a beast. And then, he's 15 years old, he's had 50 Thai fights, and now he's getting into MMA. But now you've got these young lads, 12, 13 years old, maybe they've had loads of amateur MMA fights now, and they've been doing loads of grappling tournaments. So
the thing now with the youngsters and stuff that are coming up that we didn't have I definitely didn't, and I'm pretty sure you didn't from what you said as well. All this strength and conditioning, all this nutrition, all the different coaches they've all got to work with and stuff like that.
Have like a dairy milk before you fight.
Honestly, I used to weigh in and go eat McDonald's and stuff. I did it all the time, or whatever, just any shit that was just left laying around. Mars bar before I got in ring. I need some sugar. No wonder I felt shit all the time.
Especially in Thailand. M150s.
Mate, that blows your head off, that.
I know.
If you have a full bottle of that,
it's got like amphetamine in it.
I was telling you. But they've got all these stuff now, like all the best coaches, all the fight team around them, nutrition, S&C. They've got everything now, so they are going to be, especially the youngsters who were coming up into that. Like, we didn't have anything like that. So
they don't know how good they've got it. It's like now they can come to me, and I can, I'm not saying I'm the best striker, the best grappler, whatever, but they can come to me and I can pretty much show them everything they need to know. I can be like, this is what you need to do. Whereas back in the day, especially for MMA, I'd have to, if I want to learn, Thai boxing, I've got to go find this guy who's trained in Thailand before, and then if I want to learn wrestling, I've got to go somewhere else. Nobody really knew everything. There weren't one guy, whereas now, new guy comes through the door, me and the coaches, we can pretty much teach them whatever they need to win a fight. So
right, so I wanted to ask you this: you've fought on all the best promotions around. You've done BAMMA, haven't you? Bellator, UFC, ACB,
which is ACA now.
I wanted to ask you which one is the best one you fought under and why, because I remember one story where you told me where you went to get a fighter's wage once, and they were just like thousands and thousands of pounds thrown on a table, and they just said to you, just get what you want off of there.
Like count it. I'm like, fucking hell, best count this right.
So I can imagine that being mad. I can't remember who you said that was like, but which is the best and why, what you fought under?
It's hard. Obviously UFC is like
it's the pinnacle.
It's just like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
You know, just how it runs is just perfect. You know, at like 4:05, some guy's going to knock on your door and give you a bottle of water. It's like that kind of precision, you know, everything's just bang on. So obviously that's the pinnacle, but probably the Sweden fights, the Sweden show Superior Challenge was probably the best in terms of just how I felt being there, like the crowd. You know, your typical UFC crowd's like, stand him up, you know, smash him. But
they appreciated everything that were happening.
But the crowd, you know, one thing I never did, which I, you know, I am semi-retired, but one thing I always wanted to do was fight in Japan. You know, and the fights I watched in Japan where the crowd's just silent.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a weird
They're
place,
in the Saitama Arena. There's like 40,000 people. And it's just silent, and people are fighting. It's like, wow. And I think Sweden were the closest I ever got to that because the crowd was so respectful. You know, they were quiet. They'd clap when you did something good. You know, they didn't care about like the home and the away fight. They just sort of respected that you were playing a sport. And the Swedes were coming up to me after saying, good game. That's what they're saying.
Good game, sir.
They were saying, very good game. And I was like, yeah, that's what they see it as you're playing a game. It's a sport. It's not, it's a little bit different. So I'd say that was the best show in terms of how it felt to me. If I could relive it, that was the one.
So you've fought under, literally done everything under all the different promotions and stuff like that. 2017, like when you retired, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you are now having like a semi-comeback, did you just say? You're semi-retired then?
Yeah. So I had an accident in Thailand. So I was training in Thailand for a fight.
Motorbike, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got knocked out pretty bad.
Because I was doing pads with you just as you get back for that.
Yeah.
I remember.
So, yeah. And you know what? And I felt really good. Like when I would train with you, we were doing some pads. You know, you showed me a couple of things, and I was like, wow. You know, I wish I'd have been doing this before. I wish. You know, I'd have trained with you before, and you know, I felt like because people see me as a oh, you're that guy who does all the crazy submissions.
I was always really impressed with your stand up though, especially when you were on pads. But obviously, your grappling was so good.
Yeah,
that
it just so happened that in fights that people tried to take me down, and I ended up grappling or whatever. But I really felt like that I could have done a lot more and come back more as a striker, you know, and showed a lot more of my striking ability. So, you know, I was excited to do that. But then obviously in Thailand I had this accident, and then I lost about a week's worth of memory.
Yeah.
I didn't even know why I was in Thailand. Rico's in a room with me. I said, Rico, where are we? He's like, we're in Thailand. I said, why the fuck are we here? He's like, you got to fight. I'm like, oh no.
That's scary, that though, isn't it? Really.
So I just hit pads. I did some running. I did some very light.
What did you do? You just fly off your bike and smash into a wall?
So we're on top of what's it called now? One of the beaches is like a viewpoint at the top where you can look down. I can't remember which beach it is. But anyway, so we're driving down, and then it's red hot, and then it just starts raining like crazy rain. So the road's just super slippy, and the road kind of bent around a corner, and I just went straight over the barrier at the side of the road and just head first into a steel post.
Fucking hell.
So I just laid there. I literally laid on my back, and I remember thinking to myself, I've brought my back.
Yeah.
Like I've brought my neck on my back. I just laid there, and then I managed to get up. And I was like, oh, I feel all right. And then this woman came over to me and she's like, you need to lay down, you're in shock. And then I'm thinking, why am I in shock? Like, what's wrong with me? And I had like blood coming out my head, and I smashed all my knee in really bad. And so I was in a bad way. And I should have just pulled out the fight. But, you know, I'd been in Thailand a couple of days. I'd spent my money to get to Thailand. I needed my fight purse to basically pay for this Thailand training and to live. So I decided stupidly to do a fight. And then I felt good on my feet, you know, and my opponent, he just took me down.
You were a beast, him, wasn't
you? Yeah.
I remember looking at him. You were you built like Romero, wasn't he? You're a right tank.
Yeah, he took me down. I had like a guillotine.
Because I thought you were tough.
I had a guillotine on, but the problem was I'd not grappled for at least a month because of my injury, my knee injury. I'd not actually knelt down until the warm up of the fight for a month. I couldn't kneel down. So, I've got his head, and I just didn't have it right. You know, my arms were just not used to, you know, locking on a tight guillotine. So he slipped out, and then as I try and spin on the knee for an armbar, he just hit me with like a couple of shots. Boom, I were out. And I can't remember anything. I can remember being backstage, seeing my hands are wrapped, and I started to like loosen off a little bit. I'm like, fucking hell, best get ready to fight. I got like a bit of adrenaline. I thought, fucking hell, I must be fighting soon. And then like Jay came in, he's like, unlucky mate, don't worry about it. And I thought, fuck, I've already fought.
Fucking hell.
And then I knew there were a problem.
Yeah.
So then I had a bit of time off. Started seeing the doctors and stuff, and then I spoke to a neurologist. They started talking about CTE, what the American football players get, saying, but basically what they said is they can't really, test it properly until you die, and then they cut your brain open and they can see this protein or whatever that's in your brain. But they were saying, it sounds like that, this is what's happening to you, and it's going to cause problems. We advise you not to fight anymore. So at that time, I just thought, yeah, let's just stop fighting. And then since then, obviously, you stop fighting. It's going to happen to you. You're going to stop fighting, and you're going to be like, oh, what do I do now? You're going to need something.
I know.
But I just thought I'll have a couple of fights and see. I had 2 years off first. I had 2 years.
Because I read, like, your last MMA fight in Donny Dome, wasn't it? That one?
Yeah. And I had 2 years off, and I felt all right. I felt much better. I felt like I'd given my brain time to heal from the injuries. And so I jumped in. So I've had 2 boxing matches since then. Luckily, I didn't really take much damage in the fights, and
because they were bare knuckle then.
Yeah. So I didn't take much damage. I did all right, and got the win and stuff. So I've not really been in an hard fight. But now I'm thinking, I've maybe got 1 or 2 hard fights left in me. I'd still like to fight in Japan.
Yeah. So what's next then? What's coming next for you?
So there has been talks. There's a new event in Poland, which is a Vale Tudo event. So it's no rules. Apart from no eye gouging, no biting, and no kicking in the groin. So you can headbutt, you can stamp to the head on the ground. It's like blood sport. It's just a big circle. So there's no like fence or anything like that. It's just like a big circle. So
that sounds insane.
I'm in talks with them at minute, so we just need to.
Is it good prize money and stuff like that?
They do like a tournament,
right?
But we're talking about just because the thing is. Because I haven't been in like in a proper hard fight for a lot of years now, so I've got a few injuries and stuff like that. I don't know if I could get through a tournament without getting injured. So we're talking about just maybe like a super fight, just like a one-off fight against some big Polish beast, and just see what happens, and then go from there. Maybe if that goes well, maybe do the tournament on the next event. I don't know, but my gym's called Asylum Vale Tudo, so I think I need to at least have one Vale Tudo.
Would this be your first one then, Vale Tudo?
Yeah. I've had street fights and stuff, but this will be the first organised proper Vale Tudo fight. So
the team you have got around you now, though, you got a lot more fighters and a lot of good level guys around you now. Could help a lot more with your training as well. So
yeah. It's a shame that if I had all these guys when I was in the UFC, I'd probably been a bit more prepared. But again, maybe getting to the UFC has got me where I am now. It's got me these fighters now. So, I'm pretty happy.
Going back to the gym, what are your goals and your future? What do you aspire for the gym to do? What as a coach, or what would be the main thing you want from that?
I mean, it's just about, I've got like all these fighters, but there's only a small amount of them. There's only a small number who are going to make it to the top, who physically can't. Everyone can't. We can't all be in the UFC.
Yeah.
It just don't work like that. So my goal now is just to get, just to find those people who've got what it takes, and just to narrow it down, because there's a lot of people who train in the gym. There's hundreds of members, but I want to focus on certain people and give people little tests and see where people are at and try and focus on certain people and just see how far I can take them. People like Louis, Rico, just let's see how far we can get them. Can we get them to the UFC? And how far we can push it. I've just
seen Rico's got a rematch with
Sweeney.
Sweeney, that's it. Because that first fight was insane, wasn't it?
It were crazy to be ringside when that were happening. It were just bonkers. So I'm looking forward to the rematch. Rico's like super sharp, super fit.
Is it is it behind closed doors then, the rematch? Are they gonna have a crowd there, or how are they gonna do it?
Right now I don't know. They've announced it, but I'm not sure. They're saying they're gonna have a crowd, but is there gonna be some kind of distancing rule? I don't know. For
the BKB crowd as well, they're going to want to go. They're going to want to have drinks. They're going to want to be jumping around, screaming for the mates. You know what I mean? They're not going to want to stand like 2 meters apart from everyone. I don't know how I got to get how that'll work.
It's crazy, but it's
because he was actually in Four Corners gym the other week with Sweeney when I were over there.
We
were doing a bit. So
just get some little videos,
inside info.
Get some little videos of that.
So I don't think you're actually eating pads. He was saying he was going to come back in later in the week. So if he does, I'll try and get a video of him on Slide.
Sneaky video,
Right, mate, thank you. That has been absolutely brilliant, like the insights into your career and stuff. There's a lot of stories there that I think will help a lot of people mentally and stuff as well, who think that are not as mentally strong as they are. I think you are living proof that this is a very, very powerful weapon, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you just want to give your tags for your gym on social media, websites, etc., or give anything else a shout out, or website, anything else?
Yeah, man, yeah, sweet. So my gym is just AVT MMA Leeds, so that's on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me at Danny Mitchell MMA, again, Instagram and Facebook. And then I'm also setting up a new website similar to yours, but you've got a great website teaching Thai boxing.
Maybe we can do like a crossover for that. I might get a bit of an MMA on my site and do a bit of Thai boxing for yours. It'd be good, that.
So mymmacoach.com, that's my website. So we've got a few little things on there at the minute, but that's what I want to do, is get like a hub for like MMA training on there.
Is there anything else like that at the minute? Is there much like it?
There's a few. I'm not so much for MMA, more for like grappling. Like there's a lot of jiu-jitsu instructionals, a lot of jiu-jitsu. Where you sign up monthly and you get all these videos and stuff. But for like the whole all MMA, I've not really seen anything.
No, I don't think I've seen it like that.
And Josh does an awesome job with his videos and stuff. So I'm working with Josh, and so we're just going to get on that. And everything I've learned, I'm just going to put it all into that website. And it's kind of like, and it's same as what you're doing. It's like all that experience over all them years, you just put it, and it's just there forever. Then,
a library.
Because in a few years we're both going to forget everything.
100%, mate.
So I might write a book while I can still think.
That'll be fucking spectacular, I'm sure. Massive thank you, mate. Thank you for coming on.
No
and thank
worries,
you for listening, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.